All right, we are starting chapter 8 on measurement, and we will be seeing how far we can get into chapter 9. I don't know how far we'll make it before the school year is over, but I wanted to introduce some of the tools that can be used when you're measuring. You may not have all of these tools at your house, and if you don't worry. You just might have to be a little creative and make it work for whatever you have. One tool that I think we're all very familiar with is a ruler, okay? And I actually accidentally broke mine, so we'll see if I can not snap it all the way in half. But for most of chapter 8, we will be working with inches. We use a ruler to measure things that are flat, because if I wanted to measure the distance around my water bottle, does my ruler bend around it? No. So measuring things that are flat is best for a ruler, and measuring things that aren't too long. If I was going to measure this book, the most important thing to do is make sure that you line up whatever you're measuring with at 0. So if I wanted to know the distance of my book from top to bottom, I would line my ruler up as best as I can at 0. Okay, and then if I look, it is about 10 inches long. Awesome. So using a ruler for things that are not too long and things that are flat. If you are going to measure something a little bit longer, you could use a tape measure. Okay, some of you might have these. They could maybe be out in the garage or in a drawer where you have different tools. I just used this the other day because I'm ordering some new shelves to go above my couch. A ruler could work, but it would just be a little trickier since they're longer than 12 inches or 1 foot. So I got out my tape measure. I ordered 3 shelves. 2 of them are 24 inches long or 2 feet. So I was able to get out my tape measure. The cool thing about a tape measure is this one's really old, it was my dad. You can lock it in place. This is 24 inches or 2 feet. And then I could take it up to the wall in my living room and see if they were the right size for what I wanted. The other shelf was 60 inches or 5 feet. Now this isn't gonna fit on the screen because it's a lot longer, but I was able to go up to the wall again and hold out my measuring tape measure, and see if it was the right size against the wall above my couch. Okay, so you can use ruler and a tape measure. And again, the tape measure is a little more bendy, but it's not going to be a great thing to use for things that are round. Still needs to be for flat surfaces or flat objects. Another tool that can be used would be, and this is kind of a fancy one that I got from the classroom, okay? You can call it a yardstick, or sometimes it's called a meter stick, okay? If you look, it goes all the way up to 36 inches, or we would call that 3 feet. So it would be using 3 rulers end to end for 36 inches or 3 feet. Again, you would want to use these for flat surfaces and for objects that are much longer than a book, but maybe not as long as the shelf like I was measuring that would go above my couch. Sometimes we would use these in class and hold them up to see how tall you are. Okay? But again, there's 2 names for this. It can be called a yardstick or a meter stick. Mine's kind of a fancy one, and it folds up so that I can bring it places. Another thing you could use that maybe some of your moms and dads might have, I use this a lot. I have a bigger one in the classroom that Mrs. Price gave me, but I use this a lot when I'm cutting things out of paper. If you look at the top, there is a ruler going this way, and there's a way to measure things along this side. I would, again, use this only for flat surfaces because something round is not going to fit. But if you're cutting paper, you can measure what size you want to cut it, and there's a little tool here that will cut the paper for you. Now, if you are measuring things that are round, we would use what's called measuring tape, and it looks like this. Okay? It does have inches on one side and centimeters on the other side. This would be if you are like measuring clothes. When I was little, my mom used to make clothes for us and costumes, and she would have to use this to measure what size to make it. You can use it to measure around to see what your waist size is. Again, you would want to line it up with 0. You don't want to just do it in the middle and go like this, because then it's saying my waist that I'm 49 inches around, and that's not accurate. So you still want to measure it up to the 0 no matter what you're using to measure. But if I wanted to measure the distance around my water bottle, again, I would want to set it in place at 0, wrap it around, okay, and I'll zoom it in a little closer. So if I show you this water bottle, the distance around it the circumference, again, would be about 10 inches from where I started and where it met up, okay? Again, you might have all of these things at your house. You might not. It's okay. The book is going to call for some of these tools because I would have had all of these in the classroom. Be creative. Ask mom and dad what you have and what you could use while you're doing these lessons. Some of them don't use rulers or things at all. You can make your own ruler. You can use non-customary units of length, like finding paper clips or tiles that are about the same length as an inch. Really do it whatever way works for you and your family. But again, the tools we talked about today would be a ruler, a tape measure, a yardstick or meter stick. I call this a little paper cutter. And we have measuring tape.